Today we are going to learn the next point of our Java concept, which is the multi-threading. Okay. In this multi-threading concept, we are going to learn about the different parts, different options, and different concepts that are normally used for the to the Java program. Okay. Now I'm sharing my screen. Please focus on there. What is the means of? Now we are going to learn the multi-threading concept. Okay. Before going over to the multi-threading concept, the concept which we learned into the last session, which was the exception handling. Okay. This exception handling concept normally used to handle a runtime error and execute the program, which may stop the execution if the error that will appear into the program at runtime. Okay, all these error or all this particular runtime error we are going to sort out with the help of exception handling mechanism. And the exception handling mechanism is nothing but the put the program code into the try and catch block. Okay, all these things have been completed till now. Now let's focus on the next point, which is the multi-threading concept of unit number first. Now, what is the meaning of multi-threading? Before going over to the multi-threading concept, we should know the meaning of what is the meaning of thread or why it normally used. Remember the it is a one type of Java feature which are used to perform operation by using the program. But when we execute a large program at once, it may have an error. It may slow down their execution process, compiling the process. To sort out these problems, we use multi-threading concept. And in this multi-threading concept, the one particular program is divided into the parts. And these parts are nothing but the components of a same program or the parts of a program. But the program is divided into the sub parts, and these sub parts are normally able to execute itself. Okay, they are execute itself parallelly, concurrently, and after at once. When it comes to the end of the execution, it will show us the desired result. But why we are going to convert of one program into their subpart? Because we have to utilize the CPU. To maximum CPU utilization, we use convert a particular program into subpart. And when we executing the subpart concurrently, parallelly, it means it execute that particular program more efficiently and quickly. The time it normally uses is short. They are compared to execute a program, and multi-threaded program, as we know that, as I told you that it will convert the program into two or more parts, and they are running concurrently, and the different perform the different tasks. Means one program divided into the part, and each part perform the separate task. They are single tasks. And what is their main use? To use the optimal resources and provide us the result as quickly as possible. Okay, and this multi-threading idea is nothing but the which comes from the multitasking. Means multiple tasks we are able to execute by the operating system. And from that multitasking operation, that particular idea is carried out, and we divide the specific program or specific operation into the single operation, and that single operations, all the single operation of main program is executing concurrently, and it perform the operation. Okay. Generally, the OS divides the processing time not only among the different applications, but also among each thread within an application. Means actually we know that what is the means of operating system? The operating system play a very important role to load a program, to execute a program, and to show the result of that program. This is the main task of operating system. This particular concept applies to the application which we are installed on our operating system. That time, that particular operating system is unique, as well as it that it be divided into the and this every part is called thread. Every thread is considered as a single application and it applies the separate processing time for their threads or those threads which is normally extend their capability and it performs their operation as possible. This is the main use of a thread, where we divide the one more program into the parts, and these parts are executed, compiled concurrently. Okay. There are some of the advantages of a multi-threading. When we use the multi-threading concept, that means it doesn't block the user because threads are independent and you can perform the multiple operations at same time. Means, as I told you, what is the means of multi-threading? We are convert one large program into their subpart, and each part is called as a thread, and every thread is independent. They are separately intended or desired to perform a certain operation. Okay, means suppose we convert the one program into subpart. Suppose there are three parts. First part is normally used to input the information. Second part is process the information. Third part is display the content or show the result. Okay, means we convert the program into the three parts. Every part are independent. They are not having any concern at that time, but collectively it produces a result. Okay, it means they are not blocking any type of operation. Okay, next you can perform many operations together, so it saves time generally because we are dividing our one program into the different parts. That's why we save the time. Threads are independent, so it doesn't affect other threads if an exception occurs in a single thread. Is it right? Because suppose in thread number 1, exception arises, and whenever the exception arises in the program, let's stop the execution of the program instantly. But when we use the multi-threading and we convert the one single program into threaded program, if suppose in number thread 1 we had the error, and due to that error our program execution will terminate. It means, but the other threads are independent. They are not have to matter about the thread. We have the exception. If we didn't apply the exception handling mechanism there, then definitely that thread will stop their execution. Okay, but we use the mechanism of exception handling. That time it automatically come out from that situation and execute the program. Next term which we have know that thread. What is thread? As I told you, it is one part of a program, and this one part of a program is nothing but a lightweight thread, which is also called as a lightweight subprocess, which is the smallest unit of processing. It is a separate path of execution. Means every thread is independent. Every thread has separate memory. Every thread has separate processing time, separate CPU for executing itself. And whenever we say that threads are the independent, that means if exception occurs in one thread, that doesn't affect the other thread. It only uses a shared memory area. Processing time are the separate, but the memory are the shared memory. Okay. Then a thread is executed inside the process, and there is a context switching between the threads. There can be multiple processes inside the OS, or one process can have multiple threads. Okay, means as I told you that thread is one part of a program, which is also called as a lightweight subprocess. One main program is considered as a big process, and their part are called as a subprocess. And these subprocesses are able to execute itself separately, independent. Okay, and there are the two main type of a thread creation. How to create a thread? There are the two ways to create a thread. First of all, by using the thread class. By using thread class, we are going to create a thread, and by using implementing the runnable interface. Whenever you want to create a thread class, of thread, use the thread class by extending, using the runnable interface by implementing. These are the two ways to create a thread, to create a sub part of a main program. Okay. Then we have to know that what is the meaning of thread class. What is the thread class? The thread class is nothing but the constructor and method to create and perform the operation on thread. And thread class extend objects and implement runnable interface. Means whatever the operation we want to perform on the thread, that operations are able to perform with the help of thread class. Thread class has the n number of, not n number of, there are the number of methods. Those methods help us to perform the operation on thread, or we can say that part of a thread. And first we have to know that how to starting a thread. The basic method to starting a thread is called as a start method. Start, opening and closing bracket. This method is used to create a or start the working of a thread. We have to create a thread by using the extending the thread class or implementing the runnable interface. But what we learning here, we learning about the what is the meaning of thread class. And as I told you now, as I told you till now, is that it is the operations or constructor or the method which is normally used on our thread. First is the starting method. Start method is normally used to create a thread. It is normally used to start a method, start the operation which we have created the thread earlier one, and it performs certain operations. Which are these operations? A new thread start itself by using the start method, and the third moves the thread moves from the new state to enable state. By implementing the enable interface or by extending the thread class, we create a thread, and by using the start method, we move from new state to runnable state. New state means where thread is created, and runnable state is means where we are going to start a running a thread. Next, when the thread gets a chance to execute, it targets run method that will perform the action, that will actually start the executing of a thread. When you look at this particular number of lines, that time you understand that those two methods are very, very important. Start and run. Start method means normally starts a thread which moves from the new state to the runnable state, and next method is the run method. This run method is normally used to perform the operation on your thread. Actually, operation is starting to perform, starting their operation by using the run method, but it only moves from the new state to the runnable state with the help of start method. That's why the start method and our runnable method are very, very important. Runnable means run method. This is the program. This is the program which are normally based on how to create a thread. There are two ways, as I said earlier: thread creation by extending the thread class, and second method, a type which is thread creation by implementing runnable interface. Okay, let's see here class multi. The name of the class is multi, and we extend a thread. Okay. Then public void run. This public void run method normally used to perform the operation. Then we use the content system.out.println. We are displaying or printing this particular information. Then we use public static void main method, and in which we use multi. T1 is equal to new multi. This is a multi is a thread. Multi is a thread class. T1 is a thread. By using new multi, this method is normally used to create a thread. Okay, multi is a thread class. T1 is the actual thread. New is a keyword which is used to create a thread, and multi is a class name. Okay, By using this statement, we are going to create a thread. Then we use t1.start method. This t1.start method is normally used to show us or specifies us the particular thread is going to start their execution. Start method is used to move from new state to runnable state. Now, what is the means of runnable state? Runnable states are the state where the threads are going to execute itself. This is how we can create the thread by extending keyword, by using the extends keyword. Okay. Next type of thread creation way or procedure is by using the implementing runnable interface. By implementing the runnable interface, and the runnable interface will implement when we use public void run method. This is the only method where we use a runnable interface. Okay. Here also we use class name multi2, then implements runnable. This is a keyword. This is the must keyword we have to use. Then we use public static void run method. Here also we want to print a statement, thread is running. Then we are going to use the main method. By using the main method, we use multi2 is a class name, thread class. M1 is a thread. New is a keyword. Multi2 is a class name. By using this particular statement, we created the M1 thread. Then thread T1 is equal to new thread of M1. What is the means of this? Means this M1 thread will inherit, which hold all the properties, all the operations, all the contents of a thread T1 of thread T1. Whatever the property has by this thread, that will be had by the thread, and we are normally again T1.start. This start method will use and execute their particular operation. This is how we are normally able to create a thread by using the extending the thread class and by implementing the runnable interface. Now let's see this program, execute it by using the notepad. We are copying pasting from that program, PPT. Now, whatever the thing I told you, it is required to compile a program. Go to the file menu, then you go to the save as option. After saving that option, save the program. Use the name of it as same as a class multi dot Java. Okay, and save as the all file. Save. Then it saves on desktop. Let's see here multi. Okay, now let's compile the program. To compile the program, we use the command prompt. After opening the command prompt, we have to set a path. Before setting a path, we have to change the directory because we store the program on desktop. That's why we have to change the directory. After changing the directory, we have to set a path where our program is stored. The program I stored on desktop. That's why I setting the path here. Use the double quotation. Then go to the C, opening program file, then opening Java folder, then JDK folder, then bin folder, then copying the path from here, Control C, paste the path here, complete the double quotation mark, press enter, and use this Java C keyword to check out whether the particular path is set properly or not. After confirming that the path is set properly, I'm going to compile the program by using the Java C keyword, and then use the program name multi dot extension Java, and then press enter. When I press enter, if the error has in the program, then definitely it shows here, but there is a empty colon appears here. It means there is no error into the program. The next step is executing the Java program. To execute the Java program, use the keyword Java, and then program name multi. Enter it. Let's see here. It shows the output thread is running. It means whatever the content written here, all the content are put and these threads work properly. Okay, because it shows the message thread is running. Okay, next, it create a thread by using the implementing runnable interface. We have to copy the program from here, go to the window, paste here, all these things already explained to you. Then compile the program, go to the file menu, click on save as option, and the name of the program is multi2 dot Java. After that, change the save type as a all file, click on save, and directly move to the command prompt window. After that, again compile the program Java C multi2 dot Java. It doesn't show any message. It means whatever the program or whatever the code we return to that, it doesn't have any type of error. Okay, let's see here. Next, we have to do execute a program Java multi2. Enter. It shows the message as the thread is running. Means whatever the content showing here, it means whatever the program we are written down, all are correct. Okay, these are the only demonstration to use the simple thread creation. Okay, next important task which we have to learn are the different life cycle of a thread. Life cycle of a thread, and this life cycle which states us that a particular thread comes from where and in that where. Okay, let's see. This is the life cycle of a thread. In the first state, it appears, and the final or last state, it goes to. Okay, generally, life cycle of thread is nothing but the different stages of a thread. That is nothing but the bone, started, runs, and then dies. Okay, likewise, the life cycle of thread in Java controlled by the Java virtual machine, and the Java threads are given here. First thread is a new, where we create a thread by using extending class or implementing the runnable interface. Then we use the start method, which moves from new state to runnable state, as I told you earlier on. Then this runnable is nothing but the running state, where the thread actually running itself. All the operation is related with that or are related with that. That means related with the thread, it will executing here. Okay, and actually there is no running state into the life cycle, but for understanding purpose we are giving here. From unable to running, it goes, and then if some of the undesirable situations come up there, like it goes to the sleep mode, it has to be wait for the input output operation or suspend the operation, or it goes to the waiting state. That particular running state thread or runnable thread goes to the non-runnable thread. and that non-runnable thread is called as a block thread. Means when the thread is inactive for the certain reserve, that particular thread goes to the non-runnable state. After recovering from sleep, input output complete, notify, resume or notify all operation. That time it again goes to the runnable state and start their execution. Okay, start their execution, and the last or stage is terminated. Then it exits from the run method or by calling the stop method. Okay, means when the particular thread completes their operation, it automatically terminates, or terminate state is also called as a dead state, where the thread is no longer perform any operation, no longer eligible to do any operation. We are actually terminate a state or dead earth state because of after complete the operation successfully or some erroneous situation come up there. That time we forcefully stop the execution of that thread by using the stop method. Okay. Whatever the thing I told you, that all these are given here. New, when a new thread is created, it is in the new state, and the thread has not started to run. When thread is in this state, when thread lies in this state, in the new state, its code is yet to be run, hasn't started to execute. Where it only creates the thread by using thread, my thread, new thread. Thread is a class, my thread is a thread name, new is a keyword, thread is also class name. Okay. Then runnable state. As I told you that a thread is ready to run and move to the runnable state. And in this state, a thread might actually be running, or it might be ready to run at any instant of time. And it is nothing but the responsibility of thread scheduler to give the thread a time to run. Means scheduler which normally actually give the time for thread execution, and that particular thing is did with the help of start method. Okay, as I already mentioned you, my thread dot start, and next is the non-runnable state, which is also called as a block state, and this is the state where the thread is still alive, but it is not eligible to run, or it is nothing but the, you can say that, inactive due to certain situation. It may be blocked their operation, or it may go to the waiting state. Okay, and a thread is in waiting for input output complete. It lies in the block state, and it is responsibility of thread scheduler. Again, it is the responsibility of thread scheduler to reactivate and reschedule a blocked waiting thread, and that thread in this state cannot continue its execution any further until it is moved to the runnable state. Likewise, this operation has to be performed. After that, it goes to the runnable state and start their execution once again. Okay, here is sleep, wait are the some of the condition. Due to it, it goes to the non-runnable state. Next, last state is a terminated or dead, where the state completes their execution when it runs method exists. Okay, that particular state is called as a terminated state or dead state. This is all about your life cycle of thread, which starts from new, where we create a thread, it goes to the terminate, which is also called as a dead state. New to runnable and running are the same. Due to some of the erroneous condition, it goes to the non-runnable, which is also called as a block state, because sleep, block, input, output, suspend, wait operation are arises, and if this condition resolved here, it again move to the runnable state. Okay, this is the life cycle of thread. And very important point regarding the thread is Suppose we want to apply certain property to the certain thread. Okay. Suppose we have to mention that thread number 2 has to be execute firstly, then thread number 4, then thread number 1, then thread number 3. Means the priority are able to apply in your program execution or in your thread execution. Okay. Actually, each thread has a priority, and priority is nothing but are represented between the number 1 to 10. म्हणजे 1 ते 10च्या मध्ये कधीही तुम्ही काय करू शकता, वी आर एबल टू प्रोव्हाइड अ priority or specify a priority. In most of the cases, the thread scheduler schedule the thread according to their priority, which also called as a preemptive scheduling. Okay, means whenever their time is come to execute, that time scheduler schedule the thread for execution, but it's not guaranteed because it depends on the JVM specification that which scheduling is used. Means JVM actually specifies the scheduler which thread has to be scheduled, which thread has to be memory, and which thread has to be, what we say, time for execution. Okay, there are the 3 thread priorities: min priority, normal priority, maximum priority. These are the 3 types of thread priorities. If the priority not given to the any thread, then the default priority of a thread is normal priority, and which is has the number 5. Means every thread are executing itself normally. That's why every thread has the priority normal. The value which is assigned to the normal priority is a 5, and the value of minimum priority is 1, and the value of maximum priority is 10. These are the some of the value which are provided to the priority. Okay, and this is the program of your assigning the priority to your particular thread. Let's copy the program from here and execute it. Control shift. Actually, I already created the program. That's why the time has minimized, and I am able to explain to you whatever the content I want to. Okay, let's see here. Come to demonstrate the thread priority. Means how to give the priority to the thread is given here. Okay, the class name is a test multi priority. Actually, I am use the class name as a priority. Okay, or T priority. Sorry, T priority. The class name T priority extends threads, which is normally to create a thread. Public void run, which is normally executing the next block of code. System.out.println, which is normally printing the statement which is the running thread name is till now, plus thread dot current thread dot get name. Means whichever the thread we are creating here, that thread name should be printed. Then again, system.out.println. The content of same running the thread priority is thread dot current thread dot get priority. Means first of all printing the name of the executing, and next we are assigning the priority for that thread. By using these 2 statements, we are only printing the information. Okay, and main content given here. Here test multi priority, it goes to the priority because this name is very long. T priority M1, copy from here, Control C, Control V. Is T priority M1. M1 is a thread. U is a keyword which is used to create a thread. Again, we are creating the second thread which is named as a M2. M1 dot set priority, thread dot minimum priority. Then M2 dot set priority, which is the thread dot max priority. These are the case sensitive words. Okay. M1 dot start, M2 dot start. If M1 thread has the minimum priority, M2 thread has the maximum priority. Now, whichever the thread has the maximum priority, that thread has to be executed firstly. And whichever the thread has the minimum priority, that thread has to be executed at last. Okay, these are the some of the options we have to know. Okay, we are actually written the program like that, and after that we have to compile the program. Before that we have to save this program by using save as option, and name is as per our class name. It is a P Prio, PRIORITY. Save as the type all file and button set. We did this. We are actually save the program. Now we have to compile the program. To compile the program, we open the command prompt. Then Java C. We use the keyword Java C. Then compiling the program which has the name C priority dot Java. Enter. When we enter, it doesn't show any message. It means we don't have any type of error into that. Okay. Then we are executing a program Java C priority and press enter. It shows the output. Running thread name is thread 1, thread dash 1. Running thread priority is 10. Running thread priority is 10. Why it is 10? Let's see here. First of all, it prints the running name is thread 1. Okay, that is the M1. And that is the name priority is given to the M1 is a start minimum priority. We set the priority as a minimum priority. Minimum priority means 10. Then we are starting the execution of thread 2. That name is called as a thread 0, which is has the maximum priority. Maximum priority means number 1. Okay. Generally, first thread is executed, then second thread is executed. According to that, whatever the operation we apply to that, whatever the priority we assign to it, all these priority are setting here and printed with the help of these two statements. This is how we can actually create a thread and set a priority for that thread. Okay, all these options are concerned with the help of multi-threading. There we actually convert a large program into subparts, and that subparts are concurrently, parallelly executing itself. That thing is called as a multi-threading, in which we learned about what is the means of multi-threading, what is the means of single thread, how to create a thread by using the extending the thread class, by implementing the enable interface. Then we learn about the life cycle of a thread and thread priority.